Let's go live to the Australian Rugby League Commission Chairman, Peter Beattie. Welcome to the program this morning, Peter Beattie. Were you Switzerland last night or were you cheering on one particular team?
Good morning, Peter. Look, well, as chairman, you're neutral, of course, but it was great for the game because there was this green machine that came down the Hume Highway from Canberra. There's never been so much excitement in Canberra since the last general election, probably more than that. So from our point of view, we had Canberra there and, of course, the Roosters. Well, we're trying to go back-to-back, and look, it was just two wonderful teams. And it was always going to be a close competition, and the fans certainly got their money's worth. There was almost 83,000 of them there. Biggest sellout for years.
Are you concerned that there has been some overshadowing of it because of that referee decision? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. Look, Laura, I have an enormous amount of sympathy for Canberra fans, and obviously they let me know their views, as they let a lot of people in the NRL know their views overnight. I saw it online and in social media. But the reality is the decision was right. As Graham Annesley, the head of football, has pointed out, the referee signalled 6 tackles to go. The touch judge and the assistant referee pointed out that was incorrect. The referee on the spot said 4 times that there was only 1 tackle to go, but you got 83,000 fans. I can understand how difficult that was, that message to get through. So they got it right, but I can understand the controversy, and I can understand how the Canberra fans feel about it. Well, we shouldn't forget the fact that the Roosters and Trent Robinson have done a magnificent job in winning back-to-back. And Ricky Stewart, I mean, look, the coach of the Raiders, what a class act. He took it on the chin, he congratulated the referees. I think what Ricky Stewart did, frankly, was a role model for the game.
He did take it on the chin, but is that where we leave it, on the field last night, or do you think there needs to be a review? In light of some controversies right throughout the season about some bad decisions.
Laura, I would never be a referee. I mean, there are a lot of things in life you do that make you unpopular. Being in government's one, being on morning television's another. But there's one thing I wouldn't be, and that is a referee. You know how tough that is. But look, at the end of it, the referees don't go out there to make a mistake. Of course they do. And at the end of each year, because we're all human, at the end of each year we do a review. We have a look at coaching, we have a look at the game, we have a look at the rules, we have a look at the performance of everybody, including referees. So that'll happen at the end of this year, Laura. But look, frankly, we've had a great season, record numbers of viewers, record number of people attending the game and so on. But you can always do better. And as I said, I can understand how Canberra fans feel, but you can imagine if the referee hadn't have got it right and gone the other way and Canberra had scored, look, we'd have had a controversy in the other direction. Yeah. So, Laura, in a nutshell, of course, at the end of the season, we look at all these things.
OK, so there will be a review in the course of, you know, a normal review process after every year. Now, when you took over as chairman, Peter Beattie, you caught some controversy. You were really unforgiving about off-field incidents and the culture, perceived or otherwise, within the NRL. Now, I don't want to bring your tenure to an end prematurely, but at this point, the day after the Grand Final, do you believe you've really achieved some change in that area?
Yes, I do. And I think, Laura, the proof of that is we've had, if you like, 14 teams, now we've had the whole 16, but 14 teams finished and there's no off-season controversy. Yes, we had off-field controversy at the beginning of the year. We brought in the no-fault rule, which was a clear standard of behaviour required of all players. And look, Laura, as you know, 99.9% of players all behave themselves all the time. There was a tiny percentage that didn't. And we needed to be really clear to all our fans that, in fact, behaviour, off-field behaviour that involved violence against women or children was simply totally unacceptable. Now, everyone understands, yes, it's a tough rule, but it's the sort of rule that the community now expects, and there's not been any incidences since then. There may well be. In the future, who knows? We're all humans, things can happen. But that rule was necessary for rugby league. Everyone understands we have really important standards. And look what's happened, Laura. The fastest growing part of our game is now the women's game. You saw the women's grand final yesterday, and look, I know I have to be careful saying this these days because I'm an old baby boomer, but I know mums decide whether their little boy or little girl will play rugby league, and they will only decide to play rugby league if they believe the standard of behaviour is appropriate, and that's exactly what's happened to rugby league, and I make no apologies for it.
So you say the proof is in the pudding, and what we've seen, and perhaps not complete cultural change, but some difference in those off-field incidents has been down primarily to this no-fault rule?
Absolutely, and we're looking at two things, Laura, not just, obviously the no-fault rule is the big stick, and that we believe is working, but we're also looking at cultural change. And Professor Megan Davis is doing a review. She's one of the commissioners. She's an expert in this area, and we're looking about how to prevent these things in the first place. Now, we spend millions every year as a game ensuring that there's appropriate cultural change, people behave appropriately. Professor Davis will bring down her report later this year or early next year. She believes that some of the programs can be run better. Now, I don't want to give away her report. We'll have to wait until that's released. But, Laura, if we can do better, we'll do better, because we are an inclusive game where we want the maximum number of men and women, young boys, young girls playing our game. And to do that, you've got to have clear rules of behaviour. We have that. We brought them in this year. But secondly, you've also got to make certain we go through the appropriate cultural changes in the game, and we're doing that as well.
Any unfinished business you hope Peter Beattie will carry on when he takes over from you? Do you think he'll maintain that no-fault policy rule? Do you think he'll do things differently from you?
Oh, well, he will do things differently. He was a strong supporter on the Commission of the no-fault rule, and I'm grateful for his support. But Peter obviously has got to do a number of major challenges for the game, including negotiating the next media deal. There's a string of other things. Of course he'll do it differently. He's incredibly experienced sports administrator. And as I've said, Laura, and I haven't hidden this, he's better qualified to be chairman than I am. And if there's a better person to do it, then you let him do it, and he'll be very good as chairman, and he'll have my full support.
OK, Peter Beattie, appreciate your time this morning. The Roosters were winners last night, but you can't go past that Viking clap. Incredible from Canberra. Appreciate it.
It is indeed. Thanks, Laura. Thanks, Peter.